Layla? Layla's missing! Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and welcome back to Final Fantasy II, where we've been swallowed up by a giant whale. Oh, dearie me. Seems to be a bit of a common thing in games I've been playing as of recently, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, well, you'll probably be seeing with the game that we're potentially covering next time, but yeah, as is typical with whales, we're walking through lined guts, bloody chunks, and stomach acids. Oh dear. Well, I mean, it won't be the last time a Squaresoft branded character set ends up going through whale guts. See Kingdom Hearts with Monstro, and you know what, I'm positive it's also happened in another Final Fantasy game, but I just can't quite put my mind on which one that it was. But either way, trekking through whale arse seems to be our motivation right now. But I mean, yeah, not exactly too sure what exactly it is with walking through whale guts in these sorts of games. I don't know. I mean, if I could hazard a guess, I think maybe like a bit of a biblical kind of thing. Because I do know that there was one passage in the Bible that had like a guy being swallowed by a whale or something. I want to say, and again, I'm not really up to my Bible continuity or anything, but I want to say it might have been the Book of Job, but then again, I might be mixing my metaphors with that one compared to the guy that God completely screwed over as a test of thy faith, and ended up completely screwing over his life until he suffered just enough that God was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Job, I was just fucking with ya. Enjoy having your dead family and lifestyle and, you know, everything being completely fucked up, but don't worry, you get rewarded in the end. I'm just silly like that." Oh, Jesus Christ. Religion. Why do people worship it? Possibly, who knows? Potentially out of fear, potentially out of genuine faith, and I suppose, hopefully, the part that teaches genuine compassion for other human beings. Although, then again, if you happen to look at the news in recent years, yeah, religion and compassion seems to be drifting further apart by the day. Well, then again, compassion among a lot of people is drifting away further by day. Oh, I'm sad now. Can't we all just get along? I mean, the more I feel like we're drifting away, the more I feel that we should enter this Bill and Ted-esque utopia where the world is blessed with be excellent to each other, dude. But in any case, so as we continue killing these stingrays that should have been long since digested by this whale's, you know, digestive tract, yeah, we've also lost Layla. Now, this is admittedly kind of meant to fake you out a little bit, because to kind of spoil something a little bit here, Layla isn't technically dead. She did manage to escape, but, yeah, the rest of us didn't, so I guess she abandoned ship, since she technically wasn't the captain? I don't know, but I mean, either way, yeah, she is still technically alive, but it is meant to play up in a sort of like, oh no, is one of our characters dead? Well, no, this is one of the few times where our fourth party member slot is technically still alive, and, yeah, sadly though, this does also mean we've technically lost Layla as our party member for good, because I suppose she realized that, yeah, hanging out with you three is a fucking death wish, so I'm just gonna kick back at, you know, Castle Finn, raid the treasury, help myself to a couple of drinks, and, yeah, help myself to some of the fine spirits that have been roasting over several millennia. But in any case, so it is also within these whale guts that we do finally get to, well, see a lost relic of a time long since past, and in turn get our final of, you know, the revolving sort of party members that we usually get before we reunite with Leon, so yeah, I very much meant what I said before, the end is in sight, and now that we're going to be picking up our next member of the party, so to speak, then this party can truly get crazy! But yeah, putting all that aside though, like, I mean, that's a very linear sort of trek throughout this whale's intestinal structure, so to speak. I mean, I suppose it would kind of have to be, really, because, I mean, well, then again, I don't really know whale biology, so again, I don't know if they can... I'm gonna say no, because, you know, this is the NES era, and people probably didn't really give a shit, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if they did consult, like, your real whale biology sort of charts to sort of figure out how you can make an interesting map structure. I'm gonna say no, and they probably just went for, like, a sort of generalized sort of, like, here's a bunch of fleshy mouths, and here's, like, a heart or some shit. Go nuts, and attack the whale, squaddle, acqueished. But yeah, as we're seeing right in here, people have also been swallowed up by the Leviathan, and they've pretty much decided to make a home here. You know what, this is just making me think more and more about Kingdom Hearts, where, like, again, where if you remember what happened in that game, like, again, when you were swallowed up by Monstro and, you know, you saw Geppetto living inside the whale's intestines. I don't know, I mean, the character we're about to meet right here just kind of makes me wonder, again, if Tetsuya Nomura wasn't so stuck on, like, oh no, I can't use past Final Fantasy characters because of Amano or fucking whatever, even though I redesigned them for Dissidia anyway. Yeah, I don't know, why we couldn't have met certain Final Fantasy characters like this? New arrivals, eh? So, who are you? As a matter of fact, I am a Dragoon. What? The Dragoons and Wyverns have all been destroyed? That's absurd! Wyverns? What about them? What's with you people? I've been to Mysidia. It's a town full of mages. Where did you hear about that? So, you guys were also after the Ultimate Tome when you got swallowed up. Well, since we're both looking for the same thing, we might as well team up. There's a boat up ahead, but there's also one tough monster standing in our way. Who knows? Together, we might be able to take it down. And with that, the party is now complete. We have Ricard the Dragoon, and again, overall, a pretty decent and heroic character who embodies everything that we've been told about the Dragoons so far. Noble, honourable warriors, and, yeah, I mean, while Ricard doesn't really get, you know, sort of shine as much as he would otherwise, you know, be able to in the Dawn of Souls, is it Dawn of Souls or Rebirth? Soul of Rebirth. I know it's one of the two, because there was also another little expansion for Final Fantasy 1, I believe, that had a similar naming schema. But anyway, though, yeah, Ricard, again, like, right next to Layla, I'd be hard-pressed to say is probably one of my favourite party members in Final Fantasy history, so, yeah, it's good to have him aboard, but, yeah, part of the reason why all these people were swallowed is because they carried crystal rods with them. Crystal rods being the things needed to unlock the Mysidian Tower, and as a result, the Leviathan is very much this defense system, so, yeah, you can't exactly get out of this Leviathan even if you fight through the monsters, because there is a massive monster fucker that's pretty much blocking our path. Again, Ricard couldn't exactly take it alone, but luckily, we managed to stroll in. But yeah, as for everybody else here, they pretty much just sort of said, fuck it, this is our life now, and now we are pretty much living as whale food. I suppose so long as they avoid the digestive pools, they're safe, relatively speaking? But yeah, I mean, we see people of all sorts. Men, women, children. Even a soldier of Finn, by the looks of things. It's kind of unusual, but okay, I'm not exactly going to be questioning anything here. But yeah, this is, yeah, again, getting swallowed by a whale is pretty much meant to happen because the crystal rod is there to attract it. And in turn, I suppose, was also there to act as a bit of a security system, because again, since it does house, you know, the ultimate tome, you know, there to pretty much be the ultimate magic, to prevent its use, yeah, for people who are foolish enough to try and find it, get swallowed by a whale, and see how you like them apples. Yeah, well, I wonder who else could survive getting eaten by a whale. Yeah, well, so far we only know of Sora, Donald, Goofy, maybe somebody else, but that's neither here nor there in this case. Either way, hopefully Firion, Guy, Maria, and Ricard will be the ones to escape, and add their names to the list of people who can defeat space whales. I don't even know why I'm calling it a space whale, really. It's meant to be a sea creature, but fuck it, it could probably go through space if it felt so inclined. Yes, indeedy. Any other trivia do I have? I do not. Well, I mean, except for one thing, the final of our English prototype names from the NES translation was, yeah, Ricard was initially going to be named Edward, but that was changed to Ricard for some unknown reason. I don't know whether that's meant to be a mistranslation or they wanted to add like a bit of a Spanish flair to his name. You know, kind of like, you know, Ricard meant to be Ricardo or something like that. I don't know. Maybe he was intended to be Richard, but I don't know. Ricard sounds cool, to be honest. Like, Ricardo Montalban, and the famous actor. So you do have a few other bits of trivia, but they're not really relevant for the time being. So again, I guess, well, for anything else, I might as well point out more connections between Final Fantasy 2 and 4. is that, yeah, I believe in Final Fantasy IV, I think it might be the After Years, or maybe it might be Final Fantasy IV with a few translations in and of itself, but, yeah, apparently, you know, Ricard Highwind, you know, a character in this game represented as that little kid who's still in Diced, yeah, apparently he mentions his father being Ricard, which again is either they're meant to imply that, you know, Ricard raised Kain as a surrogate father before he disappeared, or, you know, if the two universes aren't really connected and, well, yeah, Kain's real father was someone who happened to have the same name, but is a completely different person. Again, it's probably meant to be more just a shout-out in like a Final Fantasy IX kind of way, where they make reference to old Final Fantasy games, but put them in their own context kind of thing. I can't really say for sure. Again, the Final Fantasy having continuity references is a bit of an odd doc, but... I mean, again, it's its own thing, really, so you can't really complain too badly. But yeah, either way, we're just sort of beating around the bush in a relatively short part, because, yeah, it is nearing the wee hours of the afternoon, and, yeah, I'm pretty much gonna take a bit of a break, have a drink of the Pepsi, grab some dinner, and, yes, once I've had my delicious meal, I will be back for more Final Fantasy II recording, where, yeah, since we're getting near to the end of the batch of videos, I'll probably attempt the Tower of Mysidia, which is, well, I mean, a bit of a beefy part in and of itself, so I'll probably tackle the Tower of Mysidia, get the Ultimate Tome, and, yeah, that'll pretty much be us, and, hopefully there won't be any more deadly sacrifices along the way. I'm sure nothing bad will happen, what with all these red souls bandying about. You know, just sort of floating around, doing whatever. Yeah, so kind of talk about Ricard's abilities, really. Because Final Fantasy II didn't quite sort of settle the whole Dragoon ability in stone compared to the likes of, you know, your typical, you know, Knight Paladin kind of thing. Yeah, Ricard doesn't exactly have a lot of abilities like, you know, the ability to learn specific attacks or, you know, use the jump ability that eventually would go to Kain in Final Fantasy IV, but, yeah. All in all, though, I mean, he is still a pretty powerful fighter, and one that I do still find a fair bit of use out of, even if he is, well, not exactly up there in terms of health and power at the moment, but again, he is a pretty useful party member to have, and quite frankly, again, he's a cool, noble, sort of warrior kind of character that I enjoy anyway, so, yeah, I enjoy him. That being said, his design is also rather striking among, like, a fair few Final Fantasy characters. Like, he has a bit of a Black Knight motif, but I don't know, at the same time as, like, his Dragoon heritage also sort of gives him a sense of, like, regality, for, you know, lack of a better phrase. Like, again, he's the sort of guy you want to have in a fight, really, and that's, I don't know. It gives his character a certain appeal to me. I don't know, like, it's noble, but, you know, sort of, like, humble in his own way. It's difficult to explain, and even though there isn't really much characterization to him at the moment, unless, of course, you play, you know, Soul of Rebirth that does have a bit more of a focus on him, I don't know. It is still pretty interesting, and yes, using death on undead people means they get healed. Well, I mean, again, I was kind of curious because I wasn't really technically sure if, you know, Red Souls counted as the dead, but I probably should have used my common sense, but again, at the very least, now you know for certain. So, yeah. Thank goodness for hypotheses, experimentos, and mentos. The Fresh Maker. Well, yeah, more beating around the bush, and that's pretty much the big one that we need to tackle before, well, getting out of here, and, yeah, that's... I can't tell whether that's meant to be a completely different boat from, Layla's one, or whether or not Layla's boat was destroyed, and... Well, actually, no, maybe not. Maybe we were just swallowed individually, and Layla managed to sail back to Castle Finn? Curious. So I guess Layla managed to escape while we didn't? Well, here it is. A roundworm. Make it past this thing and we can get the hell out of here. Oh no, it's an ooey worm! Which probably means that this whale is probably suffering from more than a few parasites crawling around in its guts. Not including the people that it swallowed for lunch and has yet to digest. But oh well, who knows? Maybe the roundworm is kind of like a symbiotic kind of thing, where like I'm trying to remember what specific marine species it was, but like you have some like again there are some creatures that pretty much clean off like barnacles and you know scum off the whale's back, and in turn keeps it clean. While in the meanwhile, you know, the parasite gets nutrients from like the whale's excess material or whatever. I don't know. It was from a sea documentary I recall watching years ago, but that's pretty much the basic principle of it, really. Either way, this worm really ain't shit, which is why I kind of bored you with a bit of a biology lesson. So, yeah, apart from blinding you with science, we're instead gonna blind this worm with holy, and, yeah, pretty much take care of it in no time flat. Yeah, a bit of a short part compared to everything else, but that's mainly because, again, if I was to tackle this and the Tower of my city are in one part, it would have been more than a beefy bad boy, so quite frankly, yeah, that's sort of why I'm splitting them up between the two. And plus, you get a unique biome per pod, so, you know, it is quite interesting before we get back to our, you know, relative tower scaling adventure, as we'll be seeing quite soon. So anyway, we just hop on this ship right here and, yeah, anticlimactically just sort of escape. I wonder if the PS1 version had a cutscene of, you know, the crew escaping from the whale? Possibly? Well, I don't really know for certain, so on that note, I am Solidus-Skully, keep it new metal, and next time on the Final Fantasy II commentary, well, we ascend to the Tower of Mycidia to claim the Ultimatome. Catch you next time.